Yeah, and so he's making this argument that the Negro spirituals, which are the basis of basically American music, right? Blues, jazz, hip hop, right? So, sort of the quintessential American music, right, is predicated on this common sort of folk idiom, right, which is buried from Du Bois's point of view, right? This is something that needs to be heard, right? And it's not just a cast off thing. It's not just what people were singing in their, in an offbeat way, right? That, even though it wasn't coming from, the gilded halls of the university, it's still, very important. And so he really makes a very strategic move here, and a very powerful move, right? The Negro spiritual, African American musical culture, African American music is part of the great American songbook, the great American text, the American dream. It needs to be there. And so it's a really, sort of interesting thing that he does here. It also brings up the idea of soundtracking, right? So in a very sort of, basic way, he's sort of soundtracking this written text, right? Now he's not soundtracking it like a Hollywood movie, right? Um, he's working in a more discordant or dissonant way, right? He's drawing attention to the fact that the Negro spiritual is not part of this Western canon, right? And is trying to needs to get in, needs to be heard. But there's a pushback, that he's sort of indicating there. So it's not like a Hollywood soundtrack that is pushing buttons to make you feel one way or the other. His soundtracking here, what Du Bois is doing is to get you to think. That's what dissonant music, does on a soundtracking level. Okay, so yeah, and let's take a look real quick at what the explanatory notes are since we're here, right? So the explanatory notes on page 209. So you can see here, this is what we were just looking at. So it tells you who the poet is in case you don't know who he is. And then it tells you that the musical epigraph was the Negro spiritual, Nobody Knows the Trouble I've Seen, which probably a lot of you know the melody. I would really recommend that try, listen to the melodies, go to YouTube and just plug in whatever the name is, and you'll recognize a lot of these tunes, right? Uh, and giving credence to what Du Bois is talking about there. So try he's definitely making a musical argument in this text, and I think it's very important. So keep that in mind as you're reading through.